All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another training. I've got tons and tons of sauce for you guys. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about the 7 pre-qualification factors to get access to over 100K plus and 0% interest funding. So, what if I told you guys could get 50, 75, or even 100K plus at no interest? This is 100% possible, even if you guys are just starting out. Just as a story, like when I first got into Airbnb at the time, I was broke. I was only making 2K a month, living at my parents' house with a brand new business with no revenue. However, because I knew the pre-qualification factors and knew the bank underwriting requirements, I was still able to get approved for a 25 and a 50K card in a matter of weeks. So today I'm going to be showing you guys exactly what it takes to at least get pre-qualified for this game-changing funding. And make sure you guys stick around, because at the end, I'll be sharing how you can access these free resources to remove hard inquiries, optimize your credit, and set yourself up for success. So don't go anywhere. Real quick note, I am right now in the process, I'm doing a 2-month South America trip. So I'm in a hostel. There's a little bit of music playing in the background, and you guys might hear some background noise. So focus on the value. Don't let that distract you guys. But without further ado, let's go into a couple key notes I wanted to go over. So number 1 is underwriters focus on 2 things. Are you a trustworthy borrower? And does your business look attractive enough to lend to? So today we're going to be focusing on just the first part, showing the banks you're a trustworthy borrower. This will give you a starting point on your 0% funding journey. But for the sake of time, we'll cover just this, as the second part is a whole other can of worms, and I'll be here all night. So make sure to comment the word funding if you want a deeper dive on the last piece of the puzzle to get funded. Third note is this only gets your foot in the door with the banks to at least consider you, and that is it. So just because you have an 800 credit score doesn't mean you're automatically going to get approved for funding or get these super high limits. I've worked with a client who tried getting funding on their own. They had an 845 credit score and still only got 5K in limits. So that was literally damn near 5 points away from a perfect score, highest I'd ever seen. And they were just super surprised that they only got 5K. And that's why they came to us, is just because they didn't know all the pieces of the puzzle. Because again, it's more than just your credit. There's many other factors to go into it. The other big thing I want to mention is do not just go out and apply for a ton of funding without a proper game plan. A lot of banks have multiple cards, and if you fuck up the first app, it can hold you guys back or limit the amount you get on future cards. Lastly, the factors I'm about to go over are weighted, right? And there is some wiggle and wiggle room on certain aspects. So it's best to consult with an expert to ensure the best approval odds. So without further ado, let's go into the very first factor. Also too, if you guys use our affiliate link for My Score IQ, we do get a small commission and allows us to keep making free content just like this. We'll drop that link down below. So let's get into it. So first thing is you want to have at least a 700 plus credit score. This is the first big requirement. Now, I know this could kind of sound intimidating if you aren't already there, but here's the thing. Your credit score is just a snapshot. And even if you're not there yet, I'm going to show you how to get there quicker than you would on your own. So again, use the affiliate link for My Score IQ. This is a great resource to use to be able to look at all 3 bureaus, look at what your credit looks like. This is the first thing that banks see to see if they're even willing to even talk to you, right? If you have a 500 credit score asking for 100K at no interest, the door is immediately getting shut on you guys. So this is the first and foremost thing, and I'll kind of go through how to kind of boost that credit score and optimize the overall credit profile. Now, second thing here is no more than 3 hard inquiries within the last 6 months. So banks don't like seeing you guys shop around for credit too often. If a bank sees you with too many inquiries, you look like you're money hungry and desperate. Banks don't want to give funding to people who look desperate. That's why having no more than 3 hard inquiries in the last 6 months is critical. So if you guys are already past that threshold, here's the good news. If you have too many inquiries, we've got a free resource on how you guys could remove them in as little as 24 to 48 hours. Number 3 is no new negatives. And important thing here is within the last 2 years. So just because if you have like a one late payment from like 6 years ago or something, that's not going to affect your credit as much, and the banks aren't going to focus on it as much. So no new negatives on your credit report in the last 2 years. Negatives could be something such as late payments, charge-offs, collections. These are red flags for the bank. So if they see you not making payments on your other lending products, what makes you think they'll trust you with $100K at no interest, right? So the thing with this is negatives suck because they stay on your credit for 7 years. However, if the banks see no new ones within the last 2 years, they aren't as damaging to your credit. So as an important note, again, there is a little bit of wiggle room with this if other factors are stronger, but the general rule of thumb is you don't want to have any, or at the very least, keep it clean for the last 2 years. Super important too is this doesn't mean, you could have 10 late payments that are over 2 years old and still expect to get funding. Be a little reasonable. Always make sure the second you get any sort of lending, you at least set up the minimum payment on auto pay so you never miss a payment. You may get charged a little bit of interest, but at least it's not interest and a negative that's going to negatively impact you guys. But if you guys are in this boat, don't worry. If you're dealing with negatives, we've got a trusted partner who specializes in removing negative items. They've helped tons of our clients clean up their reports and get back on track, and then later they come through us to help them get funding. All right, now let's talk about number 4. So the fourth factor is you want to have a minimum age of 2 years. And key word is the average credit age. So banks love history. It shows them that you're reliable. That's why having at least 2 years of average credit age is absolutely crucial. But the important note here is, again, keyword average, because they aren't just looking at your oldest. The more cards you get in a shorter period of time means the more your average is going to go down. So you do want to be careful in terms of getting the right personal credit cards with high limits that are going to show the banks that you look trustworthy to borrow to. And for anyone watching this, if your credit age is still too low but you want to get funding, here's an absolute hack for you guys, is authorized users. This is an absolute life hack, and there's no risk to the primary account holder because you won't even have access to use the card to spend on it. So it's purely just to help boost your credit score, and actually your credit score and your credit age. So for anyone who doesn't know what an authorized user is, basically if I were to reach out to my mom and ask her to add me on a credit card that's like 20 years old, you would now be able to have that card showing on your credit, and that would help boost up your average credit age. However, here's a couple of things you guys need to look for before just taking on any authorized user. So number 1 is you want to have 5 to 10 plus years of credit age. That'll help boost the age. The older the better. You want to make sure it has perfect payment history, because if it has a late payment on it, guess what? It's also going to show as a late payment on yours as well. The other thing too is you want to have low utilization, below 25%. So make sure this person isn't maxing it out and holding that balance for extended months or periods of time. The lower the utilization, the better, but I would say 25% is the cutoff. And then lastly, large limits. This isn't necessary, but it is good because, again, if banks see you have larger limits, it's going to make them trust you more. So the keynote here is, just like you guys could adopt the upside of a good authorized user, you can also adopt the negative side. So be careful who you guys choose. If you guys don't meet this requirement, there is a simple fix. Get added as an authorized user on someone else's credit card. Again, this is going to boost your credit age instantly. I would reach out to friends or family that trust you and that you trust them. There's tons of different resources online where you could actually just pay that service and they will report that card onto your account. And again, You guys don't have access to it. You guys can't spend on it, so there's no risk to anybody. And it's purely just to help you guys out. Now, here is the fifth factor is you want to have at least 2 to 3 personal credit cards with a combined limit of at least 5K. So where most people get tripped up is having at least 2 to 3 personal credit cards with that limit. This is the very minimum you want to look trustworthy. And if you think about it, if you ask Chase Bank for 100K, yet you only have one credit card with a $500 credit limit, then that doesn't give them the confidence that they could trust you. But here's the catch is not all cards are created equal. Oops, sorry. There is a specific sequence of cards, banks, and timing you need to follow. So if you just start applying randomly, you're gonna hurt your chances of getting approvals. You'll get denied, you'll get a ton of inquiries that hurt your credit score. So that's the last thing you guys wanna do. We also wanna prioritize key banks so we can develop trust and a relationship through their personal credit cards early on. So when we do apply for business with them, there's already a lot of trust built. And something key is a lot of banks, a lot of banks have multiple credit cards. So if you fuck up the first application, it could hold you back or limit the amount you get on the future cards. All right, we're on number 6. We got 2 more. Stay with me, guys. So the 6th factor is you want to have less than 25% utilization. So here's the golden rule is keep it below 25. I know a lot of people say 30%, but that's still kind of cutting it a little close. If you start going over that 30%, the banks are seeing you like, okay, is this guy gonna pay this off? This guy's getting really high utilization. This guy's at risk. So why would I want to give them more funding if they can't even pay off their current lending or their current debt? So if your balances are higher than that, banks are gonna see you as more risky, even if you've never missed a payment. So this is 25%. Key word here is on each credit card, not just overall. So this doesn't mean you could have like 3 credit cards, each with a 3K limit, but have one completely maxed out while the other 2 are at 0 and expect to still get funding. That still makes you look risky to the bank. So if this is you guys though, don't stress. There's a ton of creative ways to lower your utilization fast. I've helped clients cut their utilization in half in just weeks. And the cool part about this too is there's ways of bringing it down without even using your own cash. So we get super creative. I actually just filmed a ton of training videos on that. This was like a 3-part training series where I walk you guys through a handful of creative ways to report lower utilization. And again, some of them you don't even have to pay down the credit with your own cash. And then last but not least, if you guys are looking for business credit, you should probably already have this set up. But if you're that early in the game, then get your LLC created fast. This is absolutely key for getting 0% funding approvals. They won't just give it to you. You could go as a sole prop, but they typically give much higher limits if you're an established business just because it looks more legit. And something to note here too is not all banks care about the age of your LLC, but the longer it's been around, the better chances you have. So if you don't already have that, get it set up today. In my example I mentioned earlier, not all banks care. And when I was going out for funding for my Airbnb arbitrage business, again, I was able to get approved for $75K between 2 cards on an LLC that was literally only 2 months old. The only reason why I was able to do that was because I optimized all these factors I mentioned earlier. And I knew how to show the banks my business was attractive enough to lend to by hitting the bank underwriting requirements, knowing exactly what to say, how to fill out the applications, and having the high level connections to senior level VP relationship managers. And as far as setting up the LLC, here's what you guys want to know is you want to have low risk NAICS codes. Basically, this code determines the level of risk you are depending on the industry you work in. So my recommendation is, most businesses do some level of consulting, so it works out for most businesses. So label your business as consulting, have a generic name. If you have words like capital, financial, investing, restaurant, or whatever, that looks more of a higher risk because those type of businesses have more overhead, the type of business, especially if you're, investing, they don't want to see that you're playing with their money to go invest in something that's like high risk, especially if you guys are out here investing in some like Trump coin or something like that. So if you guys don't have one yet, no worries. We've got some resources to help you guys set up a fully optimized LLC that banks will love and save you money on setting up your EIN absolutely free. Some of these LLC creation service providers try to charge you like 50 or $100 to do it. Literally takes minutes, and I'll send that to you guys free. But that's basically it. Let's do a little recap. So here's what the actual factors that the banks care about. One, again, credit score. We want to be at least a 700 plus. Average age, we want to have at least 2+ years. Payment history, we want it to be perfect or at least no new negatives within the last 2 years. Banks look at the number of credit cards, so you want to have at least 2 to 3. Credit limits, you want to have at least a combined limit of 5K. And then you want to have your LLC set up as soon as possible. Utilization, we want it below 25%. And then lastly, inquiries, we don't want to have more than 2 to 3 within the last 6 months. Yeah, within the last 6 months. So now that you guys know the exact pre-qualification requirements, it's time to take action. Don't let small things like inquiries or utilization hold you guys back. We've got the tools and resources to fix that as soon as possible. So if you guys are serious about unlocking 50 to 100K plus or more at 0% interest funding, start by using the resources I shared today. Now, if any of this is confusing or feels overwhelming, comment the word help and our team will run that free credit analysis and optimization report game plan to map out your funding journey absolutely free. This is your guys' chance to scale your business or investments faster than ever before. So let's make it happen. I'll see you guys in the group. So thank you guys. Peace out. Much love. Stay beautiful. And we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.